springtime comes to Palestine, it colors all around this ancient country and hovers over the walls of ancient Jericho, as it did when the Israelites came 3,000 years ago. The climate and vegetation of the land are as varied as its history. Mount Hermon has snow on its summit even in the height of summer, yet the Dead Sea, 1,300 feet below sea level, for a considerable part of the year in tropical heat. Upon the slopes around the Sea of Galilee, the wild flowers bloom sweetly. But only a few miles away is the bleak wilderness of the Judean hills, which for most of the year have hardly a leaf to support life. And in the buildings of Palestine, you may find all sorts of contrasting architecture. Monuments of Greek simplicity stand side by side with mosques loaded with Oriental ornamentation. While a few miles away can be found all that is most modern in present-day architecture. But when springtime comes to Palestine, all this contrast is charm. The scriptures life. Jacobs and David tend their flocks and lead their simple lives. In this land, there is something that grips the imagination of man, leading those who live in solitude there to become prophets and teachers, and ever beckoning those of her children who have wandered away, shaping their destinies as the potter fashions vessels out of clay. Spring term has begun at the Hebrew University on Mount Scopus, and from the glorious open-air amphitheater of the university, the mountains of Moab and the Dead Sea fall away into the distance like a brown and mauve map. And so the year begins again in the town where Christ was born. Bethlehem nestles in the folds of the hills and breathes an ancient charm. And the tomb of Rachel, revered alike by Christian, Jew, and Muslim, gleams white in the sun. And quiet enfolds the pasture land called the Field of the Shepherds, where it is written that the flocks were grazing on a certain night so long ago, and where shepherds can still be seen carrying their lambs each year when spring comes to Palestine. Over the cave, revered for thousands of years as the birthplace of Christ, the Emperor Constantine built a church, known today as the Church of the Nativity. The small door prevented horsemen riding in to slay the early worshippers as they knelt at prayer. 1,000 springs have come and gone, and still the women of Bethlehem wear the headdress with the flowing veil they have worn since crusading times, differing in form for the unmarried girl. But in the valley of Jezreel, spring now comes to find the fertile fields of the new colonies, where from ancient times till 20 years ago were mainly swamps. Yet the people of Palestine follow the ancient agricultural calling and enjoy the same simple pleasures of music and dancing. March brings fresh tones to the olive, cypress, and fig trees that surround the white walls of the houses of Nazareth. And from the one water supply in the place which people call the Virgin's Well, the women of today draw water as Mary did nearly 2,000 years ago. Carpenters like Joseph are busy repairing the primitive plows that will be needed for the season. while in other districts of this colorful country, the people of Palestine take to tractor and combine to bring out the hidden wealth of the land. So spring comes to find fragrant groves covering the landscape for many miles. One of the most gorgeous sights of Palestine is a grapefruit or orange grove in March, when the fragrance of the blossoms begins to fill the air at the same time as the last of the ripened fruit hangs heavy on the trees. And through the beautiful valleys of Galilee, people still journey to find vigor and strength of Tiberias, the Roman city whose sulfur springs from ancient days have been known to possess health-giving properties. Here Vespasian, Titus, and Herod used to bathe. Jewel of the locality is the Sea of Galilee, so fresh that cattle may drink of it. While near at hand, Cana, the Cana of the wedding feast, dreams back to the days when the miracle of the changing water into wine was performed in the place where this Greek Orthodox Church now stands. On Galilee, men still follow the calling of St. Peter. Perhaps it was yesterday that Jesus, walking by the shore, saw two brethren casting their nets into the sea, or watched such a man as this hand casting his net with beautiful skill. The sunlight is streaming through the ruin of the synagogue of Capernaum, one of the 9 ancient cities of Galilee, on the old sea road that connects Damascus to the sea. Here the gospel was first preached. Here Christ healed the sick and cast out unclean spirits. So springtime comes to Palestine, to find the energetic prosperity of the modern citrus groves, whose boughs are heavy with that most delightful of all fruits, the Jaffa orange. Arab and Jew, old and young, all in raising oranges that grow sweeter and juicier in this favored soil, under the health-giving rays of a sun so dazzling that even the oranges pale by contrast. The trees stand in never-ending rows, so that the whole plain of Sharon is green and golden. And passing among the trees go Arab girls in clothes of diverse colors, while the young Jewish women and men in blue shirts give the orange groves the colored variety of a carnival. Each spring that comes finds more trees, greater activity, still greater increases to the numbers of the thousands of people who already find work in the orange groves and at the packing station. The methods of grading and sorting the fruit may be different, but each is equally thorough. Miles around, spring comes each year to find ever-increasing orange groves. Large expanses formerly devoted mainly to corn and grazing are now flourishing green groves that are laden with golden oranges, the fragrance of whose blossom lies heavy for miles around and is wafted far out to sea. The camel, however, still remains a favorite form of transport in difficult places unsuited to motor transport. So, journeying through Palestine in March, we come by Jordan, the holy stream, looking sweet as any ink. And at last, Jerusalem, the holy city, unfolds itself before our eyes, sitting upon its proud hills in which center all the interest of Palestine. Here, three great religions come together, each worshipping, each dreaming of, each guarding as sacred treasures her history and her charm. We find the mellow sunlight streaming upon the walled-up entrance called the Golden Gate, where Christ made his triumphal entry into the city. And here we stand where the old Roman road started out to sea from the Damascus Gate. Crowded with memories of the past is the temple area, where 1200 years ago, the Caliph Abd al-Malik built upon this very rock upon which Abraham offered Isaac his son, this beautiful monument, the Dome of the Rock, sometimes called the Mosque of Omar. Into the city again and see the Wailing Wall, the only part of the original temple left standing by the Roman armies. Orthodox Jews come here to pray, insert written prayers in the cracks of the wall, and yearn for a happy future for Israel. So to the Garden of Gethsemane, unaltered and untouched, tended carefully by the devotion of the Franciscan friars. And finally to the Via Dolorosa, along which Christ walked, carrying his cross to Calvary. But over the city of Haifa, as with the other seaport towns of Palestine, there is a great call to activity. Under these rooftops, men are preparing for the busy season. Today, Palestine has not only a spiritual significance, but a great economic part to play in the story of the world's commerce. The sea, curving so gracefully into the very life of the town, is waiting to carry away the luscious grapefruits and golden oranges that symbolize the material wealth of the Holy Land. The arrival of the trains, ships waiting ready at the quayside, the loading of the citrus boxes, the bustle of porters at work, Arab and Jew, all is part of the great trade in citrus fruits that Western civilization demands in increasing quantities from the land which was one of the earliest cradles of civilization. Only at Haifa are ships able to dock. At Jaffa, they lie offshore, and lighters carry the boxes out to be loaded on board. At Tel Aviv, too, the recently built port is busy with lightermen loading boxes to be taken out to the ships. Soon, ships and shipping will be diverted to other callings with the close of the orange season, and spring with its wonderful sunshine will come again to Palestine.